Hello, welcome to Layback with Betfair. I'm Tom Haylock, joined by the usual two guests. I'm stepping in for Nick Foot. I'm probably the replacement now. Well done to Footy, he's done a very good job. But how are you guys? You well?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, you're not wrong. Footy, you done a good job last week. He got straight on the message to make sure that everyone knew about it. He didn't miss there. But yeah, look, great weekend of racing, and we're straight back into it again with another couple of big days racing.
Jules, how are you?
Yeah, no, good. And Footy's extremely humble. I think we'll see that very soon. He's outrageous, that bloke. But no, he did a good job. But back on, this Flemington card, I will say very quickly, is, I reckon, the hardest race meeting I've analysed in my form analyst life.
Ever? Wow.
It's a few years, isn't it?
Well, yeah,
couple of months.
There's a bit of history there.
yeah, exactly. It's tough. This is going to be fun.
I've been enjoying your lay bins as well.
Yeah, well, just coming from the heart.
Do you like anything?
As you get older, clouds are starting to worry me, and I'm starting to yell at them as well. So nothing's off the table.
I can't wait for your
There's
lay
that
bin.
gif of the bloke on The Simpsons
Old man
yelling at the
Old man yells at
clouds.
cloud. That's actually Jules. I'm really worried because Nick Foot sent something in, and I've got to watch this. I don't know what he's owning the show, Nick Foot, but let's have a look at what he sent through.
G'day boys, just wanted to check in and wish you all the best for layback today. Jules, Reese, just do the best, boys, without the captain there to steer the ship. And Tommy, welcome back, mate. You just do you. Don't have to go looking for all the value. You don't have to find the Scolapinis, the recommendations, the uncommon Jameses of the world. All right, you just stick to your process, mate, and you'll be fine. Can't wait to tune in later on, boys. See you again in a few weeks.
Kendrick Lamar, there you go. Eh?
That's good. I love that.
Gee, that was a bit filled with confidence after that. Wonderful. Let's go to the lay bin. Footy, you're in the lay bin. Bit too much me time. Get out of the way. I'm back. Jules, I want you first.
Oh yeah. Just starting to creep in with the cafes. Obviously we spoke about I don't do coffees or hot drinks, so I'm always, let's go for a coffee. I have the Coke Spider, and they're just not bringing the glass. They're not bringing the bottle or the can out anymore. It's just as is. So just try and bring out the both, because you want to be able to pour a little bit extra in and then get it to spew
They're
out.
saving that for the next customer, though.
Which concerns me.
That is.
I know cost of living's rising, Reese, but that's one that I'm.
You're getting the bottom half of the can.
I want it, and that's even more wrong. And I don't even think it's Coke anymore. So
That's right, yeah.
I don't know where we're at.
Didn't know it changed colour.
Yeah.
They obviously haven't been watching Layback with Betfair and finding Footy's value. That's very good. You never disappoint with your lay-bins, so it's very good. Mr. Goodwin?
Yeah, I can't top him. I never can.
You've just got serious racing things to pop.
Yeah, exactly. I'm pretty serious about my lay-bin. No, I just thought it was very strange. Sunday Metro meeting and the first day of the Melbourne Premier, I just couldn't wrap my head around it. I thought they would have wanted all eyes on one or the other. But yeah, that's my quick lay-bin.
Moonee Valley Sunday.
Yeah.
What's going on there?
Great question. Have
you asked the question?
No, it normally just falls on deaf ears. So
Good.
Just try and whinge about it on here.
Whack.
That might get through to him.
Are you buying anything?
We'll be trying. Yeah, we'll be trying. Hopefully there's maybe a winner or two before the weekend, and might help me dive into the pockets. But yeah, we're doing our best.
Well, hopefully we can find you a winner or two. Mine's a pretty obvious one. The Australian Guineas and the Randwick Guineas and programming, both on the same day. We see it in the spring as well. Caulfield Guineas. Need to be better, don't they, Jules?
It's an interesting one, because I actually don't mind it, because I always find it's actually a good punting perspective that you'd be able to dilute the field.
Yeah.
But we're talking about
punters,
yeah, absolutely. So I'd speak from a punting perspective, but you know, if you're a horse lover, you want your best against your best, and I absolutely agree with that. The unfortunate thing here, Tommy, is we're never going to get this. They're never going to get in a room together, are they? I mean, it's getting worse now. They're taking each other to court and all that kind of stuff. So it's only going to build from that. We're going to see more pop-up races, blah, 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 and at the end of the day, they just make more meetings premium, and at the end of the day, the punter has to pay more for it.
And you make a point, race fields and premium meetings and cost more.
Yep.
Which a lot of people probably don't understand.
No,
that
but
complexity.
unfortunately, it does hit the punters' pockets, and that's the hard bit that they sort of don't understand, but we'll get there one day to try and educate.
Can I put the cricket umpires and the third test in the lay-bin?
You got 2 lay-bins?
Yeah.
Oh, you've missed out on a couple.
I've got heaps.
Yeah, right, fair enough.
I'll save them for a bit of radio or something over the weekend, but what's going on with the umpires? Travis Head, Plum, given not out.
I'd love to say I'm invested in the cricket, but I'm not. So
well,
sorry.
Okay.
You're on your own there, mate. Jules, can you help me out at all?
Absolutely no help whatsoever.
This is
next.
Welcome back, Tom. This is
Footy told us to say that.
Yeah.
This is like you speaking to RVs, I reckon.
Yes. No, I agree with that for sure.
Let's get to Flemington. Stuff this. I'm moving on. Great day of racing. Obviously, we got the Blamey Stakes, the Australian Guineas. We finished the day with a benchmark 90, which is great. Bit of a down week before next week with the Newmarket Day and obviously the All-Star Mile. Let's start with race 6, English Sprint. 1,200 metre race, $750,000 race. I'll go to you here, Reese. Which way are you leaning?
I'm going to go with Nana Guy, a local from Tynong. She's good up the straight. She ticks that box already. I think I can't pronounce the horse with Graham Beggs that she beat there. That then ran second in the Coolmore, was it? Oh, it's got the funny C name. Anyway, good form, jumped out well, drawn outside of the track.
I backed Nana Guy that day.
Well, there you go. Nice. Outside of the track, which generally would favour. Is that right, Jules? Are we thinking that?
Yeah, just out with 2 metres, sort of similar to True. I think middle to wide gates would be the advantage up the straight. Circle, though, I think will be pretty even.
Yeah, so
Magique?
That's the one. That's the one. So I thought the tied in well, and the jump out was good enough. And a tough race, but typical me going a bit of value. Moody Nolan, they've had a few winners together, so I don't think we can go too far wrong.
Yeah. Jules?
Impossible race, marked at $9 the field, so the market identifies that. Quick 7-day backup. Don't see it too often with sprinters, but I know Waterhouse Bot did it recently with Gold Revolver and it came out and won. I'm thinking Sebenak. I think it's a bone dry track, which it's going to get at Flemington. We'll get the upgrade before then. And with you, I think it's drawn the right part of the track. It's drawn 16. I liked it through the line last start. That race rated pretty well. I'm happy to have something each way on it. I've marked it a bit shorter than the market. And look, tricky race, but have something Sebenak.
Yeah, I was almost in that camp too. Just need to see him win again. He won on debut, hasn't won since, and then you've been, flashing light runs. But the other thing I wanted to mention is from a trainer's point of view, I thought the 7-day backup so first up, then it's 3 weeks into the second up, and then this probably would have almost peaked him, I thought, going into this run. So I think
that was the target. This is the target race.
Well, it's a great prize money race, so why wouldn't it be? If they won last week, that would have been great. But if you win this week, even better. Drawn right part of the track. Informed jock Michael D goes on as well. So I think as Jules says, a competitive race. So if you're finding the winner, you're getting good odds.
Absolutely. Yeah,
I'm with you. I've got Sebenak on top as well. Fastest final 200 metres of that race last week. Think he's going really well. He's, as you said, he does need a win now. Ran the 4th fastest final 200 metres of the day in both runs this campaign. So he's clearly come back really well. I reckon the straight track will suit him because he's got that ability to sprint.
And that don't always go that quick.
You do need to turn
too far off him.
If you can run the fastest 200 metres in a sprint race down the straight, you're generally in it for a long way or flashing. So I've got him on top. I can make a case for Brudenell. Comes with a high rating win. Last start, 5.5 lengths faster to the 600 there and then faster home. That's against class average. So that was a really high rating win. It keeps winning. Citizenship for Coolmore has upside. Benedetta's a hope down the bottom. Opal Ridge, obviously on a heavy track, dominated when we last saw Opal Ridge. I might play around with a few of those. I'm laying Cythera each way. I thought the first up was her chance to win. I know the race rated okay, but I was with her first up. I just think this is a tougher race now up against the boys.
And she's drawn down the inside.
Yeah, she's drawn on the wrong part of the track. So I'm happy to lay her win and place. Cythera there. Anything to add before we move on to the Group 1?
Nope. Sweet.
Let's go. Australian Guineas, 1,600 metres, and Jacquino looks set to go into the race as a firm favourite. Hard to go past here, Jules?
I think so. I've marked him about 210, 215, so the price out there at the moment I think is pretty good. And I can't see him getting much bigger. I just can't see the big guys taking a set against him. It's the right form line, so you want to match up, what it's been able to do, and it knocks off the older horses, wins the All Stakes. Yeah, obviously it doesn't win, but it does win in the locker room.
Yep.
The elliptical form is the other form line you have to come through. I didn't think that race rated that well. The one thing you got to think about is, do you think Jacquino is going to get 1,600 metres? So you've got to tick that box. I think he probably does against his own age. And the map's not ideal for him. He probably has to take his medicine here, but the way Flemington plays, you can probably get into a running line and then you get an opportunity to get over the top of him. So I think he's, from a rating perspective, has got panels on the rest. And I think he probably, from that gate, gets clear air at the right time. There's a few horses that probably map a lot better. I think Attrition maps a lot better with Jamie Carr. I think the Fortune Teller is a big improver in terms of a speed map point of view. But I'll be backing Jacquino.
Is it a 2-horse race?
No. To be honest, I think if it's not Jacquino, I think you go wider.
Right.
You go really wide.
Jacquino or wide.
I think a horse like the Fortune Teller I could have something on because I think he'll be a big price that is, again, different form line to that elliptical form line. It's the other form line that was a really slowly run race that zipped home last 400, 200. So, no, I don't think it's a 2-horse race, mate, to answer your question.
You just look at the ratings. Jacquino 114 rated at level weights is clearly, like you go back to Mr. Maestro, who's number 4 here, carrying the same weight. He's got 90 handicap rating. So just on the ratings, those two are class above elliptical and the favourite. Which way are you leaning?
Yeah, well, the one Jules mentioned there at a price, the Fortune Teller, I thought he'd be a massive improver. I heard Kieran on radio yesterday give him a good push too. Right. Soft draw, and it might have been 4 runs ago, a couple of preps ago, he split elliptical and banked more. So he's beaten elliptical and then ran behind banked more. So I thought at the price from a soft draw, should get the right run each way. Obviously, Jacquino, hard to go around, but as Jules says, if you're not Jacquino, you can go pretty wide and you can probably find some value.
What do you make of the New Zealander, Legato? How is that hard to measure up? Do you have ratings on?
Yeah, I do. I've been able to source them through some stuff. So, thing for me is I just don't know where she gets to in the run. She probably is a horse that settles worse than midfield anyway, so she's going to have to be back somewhere with Jacquino. Do I think she's got a better turn of foot than Jacquino? Probably not. I'm happy to be sort of with us at Foxcatcher. We're going to be top price Legato, so if you like her, come bet with us, and then do some stuff with the fair at the end. Yeah,
like that. Very good. So, bit of a mixed opinion. I've got Jacquino on top. I think he's flying and no reason to be against him here. Let's move on to race 8, the Blamey Stakes Group 2, another mile race. Reece, you could start here. Gentleman Roy looks set to go favourite.
Yeah,
you're with him?
Yeah, 100% with him. I mean, you can't knock him. He's been great. First up, strong win. He did everything bar win the other day, obviously. Well, he did, really.
Yeah.
And people argue that he did win. So, yeah, look, he'll roll forward. Touch of speed there, but I think he'll just roll. He's drawn middle of the outside. He'll roll, at a nice speed and come across and control. Zara's the man for the job. And I think he's my best. So, yeah, I couldn't go around him.
Best of the day, Gentleman Roy, race 8. I don't even know what number he is.
4.
Race 8, number 4, Gentleman Roy, your best. We'll touch on that a bit later. You're with Uncle Bryn here.
Yeah, I think he's a horse that's got plenty of ability. I've spoke about this a lot.
I know you're a fan. You mentioned him a couple of times.
Yeah, he's going to win a good race, and I don't know if this is the right setup for him. I want him down in the weights. He's a dry tracker, so he gets those kinds of favours. Middle draw, I think, is perfect. You'll find a backside he'll be able to charge on. Gentleman Roy is a really interesting horse because he was supposed to run in the Futurity.
Yep.
He didn't run in the Futurity because he had an issue. Mm-hmm. How much work did he miss? And that's the key, because for these front-running horses missing work, and you'd probably be a good guide on this race, those horses that do miss work that are front runners and do need to be right at their best, does it impact their performance?
Yeah, look, it's an interesting one. It's so hard to know because I don't know the horse.
Yeah.
But sometimes it can be overthought.
Yep.
And that maybe missing a piece of work might work in his advantage for some reason, because he isn't an on-speed horse. Like you would say, his first up and second up runs, they were sort of gut busters. They might not have been gut busters as in they rated through the roof and they went really hard early, but he tries his heart out. And he's always up on speed trying his heart out. So it might actually play in their favour that they've missed the run. I'm guessing you're just back in the camp.
Yeah.
That they're not going there with the horse a fraction of a done, because that's probably just going to do more damage than good. So that's how I see it. But it can also be negative too. Hindsight's a wonderful thing. They might come out of the run and say, we were a gallop short. But I think the way this horse goes, he would have got plenty out of those first two, that if they miss one gallop and just bypass that one Futurity run, that he'll be right to go.
I assume that's the strength of really good trainers, to actually come against obstacles like that and actually get them still peaking on the day, and maybe pour an extra bit of work or make them work a little bit faster.
We spoke about it last week. There was a horse that had the glue on.
Star Patrol.
Yeah, that's right. Had the glue on shoes go on, and people probably see it as a negative, but I also saw it as a positive that they've identified the problem and they're dealing with it. Whereas if there was a problem there and they weren't dealing with it, no one would know, apart from the people behind the scenes. So, yeah, you just got to back in the camp. They're doing nothing wrong. Hayes boys,
they're going.
They've gone out on their own and they're training Group 1 winners. So you just back in the camp, and that's what I've done here anyway.
The interesting part, I reckon, for the punters out there is to work out what happens with this map. So Tuvalu took its back in the Orr Stakes and it didn't work out for it. Now they take the blinkers off, but it's drawn inside Gentleman Roy. Do they say now, we want to lead Gentleman Roy, which you're going to have to work really aggressive to do it, but is that their change of tact? Because we sort of find now Tuvalu's probably not a horse that is better with a sit. So I think the tactics there are going to be really interesting. Before those barriers opened in the Orr Stakes, Tuvalu was $6, Gentleman Roy was $8. Now we saw the result, and now we're seeing a very different market. So, going to be interested to see the tactics on Tuvalu.
So just going back, the Toorak, Gentleman Roy led at a really high speed, and Tuvalu got the camp that time. So are they maybe, like, I know they want to try something different from the other day, but are they just hoping Gentleman Roy
might bring Tuvalu?
And Gentleman Roy might cop pressure for something else.
Possibly.
Or, as you said,
the fact that they're bringing
one,
blinkers off too, usually thinks we're going to be riding conservative, not as much.
It's a really interesting one that at the trial needed blinkers. He's had the one run, and the blinkers are coming.
They've thrown it straight away, haven't they?
Interesting.
Who knows? We'll find out.
We will.
Just on that, I think Tuvalu will probably take the sit just based on what we saw in the Toorak and the intent there and the blinkers off. So fascinating Blamey Stakes. Race at 9 is benchmark 90 on the program. Tough way to finish. Jumbuck coming off a really strong win at Flemington when we last saw Jumbuck. Which way are you leaning, Reece? You got an opinion here? No real opinion. I'd love to see Sessions Road win because I was on him at about 80s at Betfair last time and a good juicy price to place. So I'd just like to see him win. I'm not going to back him, but wouldn't you be filthy?
Not really. I got enough out of him to place.
Mental
I'm
health bet,
exactly. I'm happy to leave this race alone. It's a tough, as they do normally last race. These types of races, they like to make them tough for the quaddie. The Jumbuck's flying. There's a few other there that are going well, but I'll probably leave this race alone.
I love Pinstripe as a horse, a real line chaser. Ran well first up last campaign, Jules. But who have you got on top in the last?
I think this is one of those races we speak about where market at the death, especially the exchange, is going to be your best friend.
First up.
You've got 6 or 7 horses that are first up. Now, if they're not there, market will tell you. Betfair will tell you. Which means it probably just leaves the Jumbuck, who we know does exactly what he does up the straight, draws that middle to wide. It's the perfect thing. But there's some class with these horses first up. And I just think there's no need to bet yet, but just wait. And if you do, for example, a horse like Life Lesson sort of down near the min, if the money's there to say that the horse is ready to rock and roll, it's one I want to be with because I think it's got the class to get over the line. But I think the most important thing for the punters out there is this is one you don't have to bet early. You can wait. This joint will be your best friend right at the death.
Yeah, so that's Jules's tip in the last. Watch Betfair Live and Betfair Market late the last 4 or 5 minutes. You'll get a guide on how they parade, how they've come back and how they're going there. Before we get to a huge day of Randwick, I think we've got 9 group races at Randwick, so hot day there. I've gone through all the races for you, which you weren't happy about, Reece. Before we do that, we've got a special addition to the show who's looking to be a regular, and great to have her with Betfair, Bella Anderson. We'll throw to her for some mounting yard information.
Thanks, guys. Absolutely delighted to be joining the layback coverage. And oh my goodness, what a weekend of racing we've got at Flemington. It's going to be an outstanding card. Beautiful horses in the mounting yard, and I can't wait to see them and get into it with you guys at Betfair Layback. It's a great idea, and I think I have a lay and I have a back as well. So hopefully we can hit it off the first week running. And my lay comes up in race 5. I'm a little bit nervous about this one, but Munamek is my lay for the weekend. I'm happy to risk him at the short price. He's currently $4.80 on the Betfair exchange, and the reason why, he's a big horse. He's a horse that has a lot of weight, substance, strength to him, and on type, I don't know if he's going to relish the mile. And the other thing as well, he's typically not the best horse in the mounting yard. It's very normal for him though, so don't be worried if you see him being toey, getting warm. He's quite a nervous, anxious horse, but even though this is normal, it's not great, particularly for a horse rising in trip, and when his type is also suggesting that it might be too far. The fact that he's using all of this nervous energy pre-race as well and not saving it to run out the mile, that gives me a bit of a question mark. And at $4.80, I'm happy to oppose Munamek there, considering he's up against hard fit horses who are going to relish the trip as well. I'm a Shelby, Kettle Hill, Sparkle, Queen Air. They're all horses that are going to absolutely relish the mile, if not further. So I think Munamek is a bit too short. So $4.80, he is going to be my lay of the day. And race 7, the Australian Guineas, what a race is this going to be? And even though I feel a bit of a cop-out tipping my best bet as a short price favourite, I think Jacquinot is the horse to beat and the best bet of the weekend. Really confident on his chances. I can't tell you how much I've loved watching Jacquinot and the progression he's made this campaign between his first and second up runs. Going to be third up, he's going to be cherry ripe for this, and I think he should be winning this simply, and I think you're going to get a really good price late on the exchange as well with Jacquinot. First up, although he won, didn't really like him. He was dull in his coat. He really sweated up. He was quite fresh. He was quite coltish. He was holding on to a lot of weight, and like I said, although he won and outperformed my expectations, he had so much improvement to come. Second up, he looked like an entirely different animal. He was gleaming in his coat. He'd really lost all of that excess weight and turned it into muscle, and the muscle prominence over his entire body, particularly over his hindquarter, was just astounding. So the way he's transformed first and second up, third up, he's going to be an absolute beast, and I think he's going to be incredibly hard to beat in the Australian Guineas. So Jacquinot, my best bet of the card, and hopefully a few winners in that lay Munamek. Oh, fingers crossed.
Well, Bella keen to be with Jacquinot and against Munamek there from the yard. Good information. Jules, have you got an opinion on Munamek? Or?
It's been up forever, so yeah. I think that yard thing's really important. I mean, that's something that I probably don't have the intel towards. So for the punters out there, if Bella's saying that that's possibly a negative for that horse, then it's probably going to be an advantage for your punting.
Good insight, and it's great to have Bella on board. Let's get back to school, and Jules, you've got a question for me here.
Yeah, what is BSP, my friend? Because I know when I do run all my results, it is usually, we find it the truest of all prices. At the death, it's the truest of all prices. It gives you your greatest guide. But explain to me what actually it means.
It's a great question. When I actually started at Betfair, I had the same question. And I said, this is a silly question, because everyone thinks Betfair starting price is the price that the exchange is at the final point when the race turns in play, but it's not actually that simple. Now, it is incredibly accurate in terms of the horse's percentage chances of winning. You see $3 favourites win 33% of the time. That's how accurate it is. It's to the 10th. Betfair starting price is essentially the exchange price at the jump, but it's weighted towards the back side of the Betfair starting price, because you can actually back on Betfair starting price and you can lay on Betfair starting price. So it takes that into account, and then when there's an algorithm in place that when it's uneven on either side, when it's weighted, there's too many people backing it, it actually takes money from the lay side of the exchange as well. So it's taking basically all bets on the market at that point in time and weights it to Betfair starting price. So that's probably why it's so accurate as well, guys.
Yeah.
It's a great, easy tool for punters. You don't have to worry about getting matched. You can back a horse, you can ask for a price and then take Betfair starting price either way, which is something I do regularly. Maybe take 2 or 3 points above what is currently on the exchange. If it gets matched, it gets matched. If not, select the take Betfair starting price, take BSP, and you'll get matched either way. Or if you don't want to do that, just press the back BSP or lay BSP, and you can do that on Betfair and the Betfair app as well. Answer your question?
I might get that in an email, I think.
Yeah.
I'll write it down for you.
I'll read about that later.
But it is good for the punters out there to know, because as Tommy sort of mentioned it is the truest price we can get. So, we talk about, we'll just do it off the SP. It is nowhere near what the BSP accuracy has. And if you're going to play at the death, you've got to understand that if you think it is the $5, then it is actually bang on what it is. It is a 20% chance of winning. So it is fascinating to work with stuff like that.
The beauty of the exchange as well, you're betting the markets at 101% at the death, right?
That's right.
So you're actually getting an accurate price. There's no margin for bookmakers built into to that kind of thing. So that is a great guide. I hope that answers your question, Reece. I'll talk to you more off air about it. I'll get the whiteboard out.
Yeah,
we'll do a little session. Let's get to Randwick. Great day. I know we've got 9 races here, but we can fly through a few. I don't know how much Randwick form you guys have done. I've done a lot more than Flemington. So we've got two-year-old races to kick off. Race 2 and race 3, the Tobin for the boys, Resling for the girls. You had a look at these two, Reece?
I've had a little look, yeah. Obviously, I wanted to get your thoughts more than any. I was on Cylinder and made him a back, was it 2 weeks ago?
Yes. Yep.
Good, strong win. Yep. J-Mo back into the saddle. But Red Resistance obviously beat King's Gambit and then smashed the clock in a recent trial. Is that right?
Yep.
What are we thinking? I'd like to get your thoughts here.
Well, if this was at Rose Hill, I'd say Red Resistance would be immoral. Just the map.
Yeah,
12. Yeah,
you
just
drop that much?
No, not often. But just Rose Hill, firm track, shoot start, favours those up on speed. Small field, Red Resistance and control, be very hard to beat. Back Randwick's opens it up a bit more to the back markers and probably suits a couple of others like Cafe Millennium a lot more. That said, I've got Red Resistance on top. I think he just rolls forward. He's so professional. Cylinder ran second behind Platinum Jubilee last start. I think Red Resistance is a better horse than Platinum Jubilee. I just think he might just kick and prove too professional here. Cafe Millennium's the horse that I really interested in from a slipper perspective. Now, the small field, slow tempo might not suit him here. But I loved his debut when he ran faster time than the fillies there in the Learning to Fly did in the English Millennium. He's a big 2-year-old. He'll be charging down the outside. He might not win, but I've got a close eye on Cafe Millennium here in the Todman. Red Resistance on top. Jules?
Yeah, look, I think they've ran some big numbers, these horses. So I
surprisingly big for everyone saying it's a moderate bunch of 2-year-olds.
Yeah, like its Red Resistance numbers been massive, both the debut and the second go. The way I do it, massive. The cylinder number last up was very, very big. I agree with Tommy. I think Red Resistance probably controls this race with that inside draw compared to, say, a cylinder. Interesting, the numbers we've got sort of out 6 metres on a really dry deck. It sort of plays to on speed. I know it's a big track, but so you think the way I'm going to play this whole day at Sydney is I want to be right up there, and I think Red Resistance fits that. So, but this, I think, shapes the market for the slipper significantly. And I know the next race probably does as well with the filly, but I think this one even more so.
You say a good standpoint at Randwick's lane 8 seems to be the fast lane with the camber and whatnot. So when the rail does get out, lane 8's usually pretty hot, and if it's rails in 6, 7, 8, it generally favours up those on speed. So a good standpoint, and you'll be watching the races closely. Red Resistance will be pretty hard to beat there in the Todman. The Riesling Stakes, have you guys got an opinion here?
Not a strong one, no.
No, I mean, she's pretty good, isn't she? But the one, number 2's no mug either.
No, it's a great race.
Does a small field throw a spanner in the works for Learning to Fly?
So my query with Learning to Fly is, and we heard Bella earlier, is the parade. She's been there peaking Kundalini, and the second horse, the name escapes me now, had a lot more improvement to come. Blanc de Blanc had a lot more improvement to come from that English Millennium, whereas Learning to Fly probably didn't. I've had a query on the 2-year-olds throughout this season, and I'm just having a spec bet on number 6, Mathkura here. Daughter of Boss Fun, won a slipper. Trialled up really nicely, double figures, small field, professional, up on speed, as you said, with the rail out. Could be in the right spot. I've spec'd Mathkura in Percy Sykes markets and even a slipper, so she probably needs to win this to get in a slipper, but I just thought she was a bet, $9, $10, betfair.com.au, number 6, Mathkura.
To further strengthen your point there, Tommy, it was interesting that Blanc de Blanc was a massive drifter last Saturday, so they're obviously thinking that maybe the first one of Learning to Fly was great, but the second run didn't rate that well. For her to drift that significantly wouldn't have just been a complete map situation. There would have been some other factors into that as well. So
I've been a biggest
fan
fan
something on that.
I've been a biggest fan Learning to Fly. I just think now's the time to jump off, and I could be wrong. But yeah, Mathkura, worth a throw at the stumps at the double figures there, mate.
I'll just add, I heard Annabelle mention Learning to Fly. I think it was before she won the second one, that she was a lightly framed filly anyway. So it was interesting. Could she have missed this run and just gone into the slipper with a trial?
Maybe, yeah.
No, but it was just interesting that Annabelle's chosen
go again
to run her. Like again, I'd be backing in the camp here. Like she could have easily just trialled her and then gone into the big dance, you know.
Does the English Millennium prize money count?
It would if you win. Or back in the day when I was handicapping, if you won the race, the money would count.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if you ran second, third, fourth, fifth, it didn't count.
She would have been
changed that.
The slipper?
Yeah,
she should have been. Yeah. So it was just interesting. I heard Annabelle say that she was a lightly framed filly that didn't need a lot of work. So it was interesting that she's going to the races again when she could have just kept her at home and given her a pretty easy trial to keep her up to the mark. So yeah, look, I'm not getting involved, but I'd probably back in Annabelle that she's got it, in good order.
Yeah, fascinating 2-year race. I can't wait for them. Race 4 is the Randwick City Stakes, listed race 2,000 metres. I have no idea here. You've got Sacramento rolls forward with that dry track. Could be hard to catch. Solcomb's a fascinating horse. You're against him.
Yeah, look, yes, he had things against him first up. Short of his best, pulled up lame. They say they're lame even when they're not lame sometimes these days. Seen his trial.
What are you saying? Have you done that?
No. Next question.
You're the trainer.
Next question. Anyway, I seen his trial again the other day. It's just, I'm not sure what all this hype and vibe about is. I know he was good in Melbourne, but I'm not sure how he's come back. The trial the other day was very fair. Even horses that get over ground generally trial well. They're just got ability and they generally trial
especially
well.
Fresh.
Exactly. So I haven't had a great look into the race. I might end up with egg in my face here, but from what I've seen of him this time, couldn't touch him at that price.
There's something about these internationals that obviously they're caught on now the market, and you'd know this.
There's always a bit of hype there.
There's a bit of hype. Won superbly, but didn't do much first up, and as you said, it's a really hard horse to gauge. Any opinion?
Oh, the number in Melbourne was enormous. Like, I declared this horse the Melbourne Cup winner, and he'd win a Cox Plate off that. Like, that's how
he
good
went
he
up
was.
favourite, didn't he? Or
He went up.
It was just
for the Melbourne Cup.
But the first up run, like I look at these horses that are set for a race like the Melbourne Cup, that the Autumn, I think Lloyd Williams taught us so much that just having the one run and just getting in the environment of the
system,
stable again and then tip him back out.
Yep.
So I was surprised to see him run again. I think Reece is probably right. He might be half, rat power at the moment. It's
they
hard
might
to
find
tell.
after the weekend that they do put him away. And
Correct.
go
I mean, we saw that with Banju was well supported against him. The market really flipped with him first up. They really wanted to be with Banju. I mean, Sacramento now coming out of that fast run race that I think was won that by King Frankel.
Yep.
It now rolls forward. You would think third up, be hard to beat. Solcomb's going to have to chase him down. So,
that's what I was going to say. You've said whether Rail is on speed, hopefully.
Yeah.
Yep. So where's he get from?
Yeah, well, he's not. He's just not going to be ridden warm.
They're going to have to take their medicine, aren't they?
Correct. They're not going to ride him warm. And whereas Sacramento will be right there. So, if you were thinking how the market's going to play, you would think Sacramento starts clear-cut favourite. That's how I look at it.
This is a great point about education, right? You've got two small fields, 2-year-old races, which are hard to gauge track bias and stuff like that as well, which makes it tough in a midway to start off. But you might see a pattern develop. You might have Red Resistance lead throughout, Mathkura might lead and kick, and then suddenly they do come for Sacramento, and Solcombe might get out to a stupid price.
Yeah, that's right.
So you just got to...
And then they might overdo it. They think that the first three have been up on speed, so let's all be on speed, and they overdo it.
Yeah, that's part of the battle with being flexible on the race day. Fireball Stakes, race 5, 1,100 metres. I think Mizzou won a Fireball back in the day. There's been some Santa Ana Lane maybe as well. There's been some good horses with this. I don't think there's any stars here, but Economics looks set to go around favourite. Speaking of drifts, this horse drifted significantly a couple of weeks ago when scratched at the barriers. I'm against him here. Drawn wide again. I just think he's too short considering what we saw at the barriers. He's had that setback. He drifted late. I could back him if he gets out to a silly price, but at the $384 mark, I think is too short. Jules?
I think that's really good intel for the punters because that's not going to come up on a form guide or in your best bets or anything that a horse drifted. We all talk about, what was their BSP or whatever at last start and factor that into our new pricing. You've given some great information to the punters there that they wouldn't be able to get anywhere else. So the fact that he was on the drift, I think, is important. There's some factor there that the market's taking into account because his big numbers in Melbourne were good and he ran really well in Coolmore.
I wanted to be with him first up. And suddenly the market was off him and I was hoping he got scratched.
Well, you were right, he did. So, I'm interested to see what happens on the racetrack, but also what the market does with him as well. But I'm going to be staying out.
I'm leaning to Dashing Legend each way. High rating Canterbury win last start. Dropped sharply in weight. Has that fitness edge over the likes of the Economics of favourite who missed that run now. But not a keen race to play in. The Group 2 Challenge, hot race. Great race.
Hot
Eduardo's back. We've got Giga Kick, the Everest winner. Passive Aggressive, Remark. Jules, you can start here.
Yeah, this is a great race. I look at it and I go, Giga Kick's, I think, probably going to be the best horse in the race, no far. And that's Eduardo done some great things. He's won this race the last 2 years. Did win it, I think, second up last year after running third in the Lightning. So a bit of a different prep, very similar to what he did 2 years ago when he won it off 126. He'll be in front, so that's a good start. Giga Kick's going to be back.
Eduardo lead, Passive Aggressive outside.
I would think something like that, very similar.
It's really interesting because Passive Aggressive, I don't think can settle. I wanted to make a case for her. I don't think she can settle outside the Bulldog here and eyeball him and win.
Beat him, yeah.
Which is going to make it really interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. So the way I see it is Giga Kick, I think, is going to be in an awkward spot from 4. Craig's going to have to be really good. And 1,000 metres, Eduardo going fast, coming out of your comfort zone a little bit too early, taking a pretty short price about this 3-year-old, who we know is exceptional. I've got him pegged as a really good horse. This is not saying he's a bad horse. He's a great horse, but he might not be the best horse on the day for these conditions. I don't think this horse I'm going to tip is going to be the best horse in the race, but it just sets up really, really well for Remark. I thought first up, it was a fast run race. It still came home best last 400, 200 just about of the day. Just might be in the right spot, just off the back of Eduardo. Eduardo maybe has a chink in that last 100 metres, and Remark can catch it, get him. So I'm having something Remark. I'm happy to lay Giga Kick. Just because from a map perspective, I reckon 1,000 metres and just where he maps could be a bit tricky.
I'm copying and pasting that exact narrative. I agree wholeheartedly. Remark just sits potentially 1-1, gets the leaders back, can peel off him. He's got the race fitness, as he said, great sectionals late last start. I've got him on top. I agree. I don't think he'll be the best horse in the race, but this is the race for him. If he doesn't beat him here, he won't beat him ever again.
No.
So I agree with you there. I think Giga Kicks jumped out well, ran second in a trial behind Coolangatta, and then went to, I've forgotten the name of the track, but Balnarring ran one over the top.
Done some of your best work there.
Have you? I won't ask.
Balnarring Cup winner.
On track
well
or okay?
I was going to say I won't ask.
I'll leave that to the imaginations.
Wow,
Couple of bucks.
Worked home okay down the outside under a bit of pressure Giga Kick, which was an interesting jump out. Finished off well, but you're with passive aggressive.
I'm a massive fan of passive aggressive. I think she is untapped and has some serious ability. If you watch her jump out, she's trialling sharper than I Am Me, Lombardo, just some sharp horses. I think she's a serious filly, and I think you watch the last run and you go, yep, she was disappointing, but she's going to be a headgear horse in time for sure. She gets to the front and
what
dead
makes
set.
you say that? She just gets lost?
She just pricks her ears. You just see it straight away. You watch the last jump out at... you watch the run there where she was disappointing, last run at a short price. She gets to the front well before the corner and her ears are pricked the whole way up the straight. I think the ones that got her out wide, she probably didn't see them. She was going half speed, I'm sure. That's
great insight.
Half speed, I'm sure of it. And then you watch her in the jump out. So that's just my concern for Saturday, whether if she's outside Eduardo and he's maybe not his best, she puts him away, she's going to just be left way too far in front and something might get her late. But I think each way, happy to be with her, and I'm just going to follow her the whole way through the prep because I think they've taken her up there for the softer tracks and I think she can do some damage up there for sure.
Just quickly on that, because you talk about the headgear. So when you're keen on her for Saturday, but when you eventually see they decide to go...
Winkers or blinkers?
Winkers, BFT, are you going to be going, I've been waiting for this day, this is
probably
the one where we launch?
Probably. What I think they're a bit hesitant about is just if she overdoes it because she's fast. Like she's trialling well in 900 metre jump outs at Cranbourne against some Group 1 sprinters, or nearly Group 1 sprinters. They've been running in Group 1. So I think they just want to, they're not going to throw everything at her straight away. So they're going to see how she races Saturday and hopefully settles outside Eduardo and then see what she does under pressure. But I am looking forward to, I'm half hoping they might just go winkers first and then there might be a progression of blinkers. Okay. But God, I have been waiting a long time to see her come back, and I can't wait to see what she does Saturday.
1,000 metres might suit her as well.
You think it's probably you think it's probably too sharp for her, but if you watch what she's been doing in Melbourne at the jump outs, I don't think it's too sharp at all. And a race that doesn't look like it's...
And first up.
Like it doesn't look like it's full of speed, you know. Like I think she probably can come across from the gate and set outside Eduardo. I'm not sure, you mentioned eyeballing. I don't know if she has to eyeball him or anything like that.
Card or...
you know, they'll just sit off a half length. Who knows, Eduardo might even get left alone because everyone thinks he's finished or close enough to finish. He might kick and win his third one in a row, you know. Yeah. So
great
it's
race.
going to be an
I think we're all
race.
on the same page with laying Giga Kick.
Something like that.
Yeah. Come out and win your 10.
That's it. That's the play there. Group 1, Canterbury Stakes. Really, really interesting Group 1. We've got the New Zealander here. We talked about the New Zealander in Melbourne. Really interesting race. Which way? I'll start with you here, Jules.
I'm with her.
With her?
Yeah, I think she's really good. Numbers stack up.
Surprises me a little bit.
And the other thing with her is she's deep into a prep now. So she's got the fitness edge. She's also got, and I know we see a lot probably in New Zealand that she sits off them a little bit. James actually can have her a lot closer than she usually does sit. She's got the ability, the versatility from the gate to actually, because there's not much speed in this race if you really look at it. There's a lot of these that I know, there's a few that might want to go hard, but there's a few that actually will get back, especially key chances that will need. Well, that's just their pattern to get back. I talk of Cascadian and Artorias probably in particular. They're going to find backsides. That's just what they do. They're very good at when they get out, but she just might get the march on them. She's a very impressive horse. The numbers are there. They show. You just look at her record. I think she's 12 from 17, something like that. But I just think she
lost the time I backed her, though.
There you go. And you don't seem to be holding it around with you at all anymore. You've still got the grudge. I just said from a map advantage, and I thought fitness-wise, I was happy to take the shorts, the mare.
I was surprised she came up even money.
She's short, though, isn't like she's been well found.
Yeah, she has been well found.
I've got not much of an opinion here because I don't have anything on her or a strong opinion on the race. But I think there was a stat. James McDonald, don't think he's won a Group 1 for a New Zealand trainer since Dundee, I think.
Right.
It's been quite, I think he might have had a little bit of success in Queensland for them, but there's been a couple that he's got on in Sydney and haven't quite performed up to the best. So it's no knock on James. He's probably given him every chance, but it's just
James.
Very much so.
I'm a huge James fan, so no, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. I'd love to be $1 behind him.
He's not riding any of yours anytime soon. I just thought she was too short, to be honest. I can see she's got to be a huge chance. I went looking for... Because I saw her open too short, I went looking around her, but there isn't much either in the same token. There's not much that you could stamp that's
You can see why she's actually come up that price, really.
Yeah. All that said, I'm with Artorius each way. The best thing about his jump out was how well he jumped. He settled outside lead. He typical line chaser, though. In that trial, he worked home and finished off quite well. I have a sneaky suspicion that the trip away might have just matured him. And he's come here and he's jumped out well, one trial, looks ready to go. I think 1300's perfect trip for him. And he might not be back as far back as you think here.
Okay.
So
now that his manners are
now, if they are, if that trial, if we can trust that trial, I'm with him each way. I'd rather take 250 him than Imperatrice 2 bucks.
You got one heck of a jockey on. I mean, and he just might be able to stand over his horse a little bit.
Is this horse one of the reasons why he come? Like the China Horse Club people might have got him over here. Is there what else? Has he got something else that's?
He's suspended from
Hong
Kong.
Okay, fair enough. Sorry, I did hear that. That's right.
Mark Van
Gestel. That's right. Yeah, there was a bit of a fine there too, wasn't there?
There's all sorts going on over there. I think he's got a bit of coin.
To back up your comments about the trip away, that's 100% happens with horses. Even just an interstate trip for horses to Adelaide and back can really bring a horse on. So a trip overseas for a horse that's got stacks of ability and probably hadn't had his head in the game, missing the start, getting well out of it, and then probably attacking the line but never really knew how to put one away. And then they've given him a good, solid trial. Look, I'd certainly be looking forward to seeing what he does, and hopefully he isn't as far back as he usually gets.
You're talking me into it even more. Love that.
I'm with you.
Let's get into another Group 1, the Randwick Guineas. We'll fly through these. Fascinating race with Cabin going down at $1.60. Set this grand final up for many of these up to be a really interesting betting race. I have no idea what to do with Cabin here. For that point alone, I struggle to bet into this race. Jules?
Market loves him. 220 first up, goes through the roof. So then he starts at $1.60 because the number's there first up, and it doesn't work out because they go forward. And to be honest, I thought he was beyond ordinary the last 200 metres.
He was playing.
He was, and he's short enough again.
He's always going to be short with that SP profile on the numbers.
Correct, exactly. So I'm going to be against him again. But again, probably from a map perspective, I don't know where he gets to here.
It was you had him mapped to go back last time.
Yeah, and they decided to roll the dice and go forward.
This time they just
I think they have to go
they look
back
pretty
again. But then I looked again and I go, if you go forward, you might find OSL outside lead. But if you don't, you're pegged. And I don't think you've got that much on the Zoo Tigers or the Osipenkos. Yeah. And Zoo Tiger and Osipenko, I think on Saturday map ahead of him and map better. Yeah. And as I say, at the price right now for Cabin, I'm happy to be against him. As a bookmaker, that's what I'm happy to do. He's a talking horse. He'll be popular. There is no doubting that, and I get it. But I'm happy to be against him on Saturday.
Yeah. Your man on SEN, Dean Watling, makes the point about Godolphin first up, second up, third up. Interestingly, he might just be here to peak, and the stable do that. He might have had that flat run second up off a really peak, high rating, run fresh. But I agree, the map, really tricky for me. You got an opinion on the rest?
Well, no, I actually don't. But do we know if attrition is definitely staying in Melbourne?
We don't know yet,
because I thought maybe if they were, I thought maybe if they knew they were definitely staying in Melbourne, he would have been out by now. But he's still in. Does he line up at all if he goes?
I would have thought the Cabins, the Zoo Tigers and Osipenkos have
Sydney's got Melbourne covered?
I think so. I think it's a harder Guineas up there, and I know we've got Jack and O down here.
So if we had them not clash on the same day, it'd be a great race, wouldn't it?
It probably would be. It'd be harder to punt in though, so do your thing. Leave
it alone for you.
Victoria and keep it alone.
There's also the point that there was a bit of a bunch finish there, the Cabin Matcha Latte race, and something left field could come and actually just be competitive. Lindeman's one of those. Could roll forward lead, be hard to catch.
Yeah, I thought it definitely would roll forward. Yeah.
So that's especially if it's tracks playing up on speed. I agree. I thought, and I made the point with Cabin first up, I was kind of against him at the price because he just mapped awfully. It might not have been the grand final. That's why I think you and I were talking about him going back from that barrier because this was a grand final and they rolled the dice. Has that taken it out of him? Who knows? Tough race for me. Jules laying after cabin there, the Randwick Guineas. Let's fly through the last couple. The Aspiration Group 3 mile race. I'm all about Roots here. I think she just wins, maps perfectly. Unlucky first up. Worked home really nicely when got in the clear. Just inside barrier now. That's stable. She's a nice horse. I think she'll be winning. You agree with?
Yeah, 100% for all those reasons. J-Mac back on. No offence, Avdallah did a great job while J-Mac was in Melbourne. He went on cylinder, but yeah, J-Mac on. Gets the right draw. Her run couldn't have been any better first up. So, yeah, with her.
Yep, we're both.
Yeah, I agree with her. She might explode and end up being a sneaky in a really hot race through because her first up run was mammoth.
Yep.
So
I think
she's got the ability.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just remember go back to that Mini Valley run when she got back on the fence when it was just a no-go zone on the fence and she was great. Like,
yeah, and then came out the next start at Flemington and was off the map.
Yeah,
I backed her both starts.
Yeah.
I've had a big opinion of her for a while. We finish off race 10, the Winona Girl. I'm with Brossa Rosa here. I just think that it's a tough mares race to finish, which is typical, but I just think she's off 2 wins, fantastic run on the Gold Coast. She brings different form, and 6 weeks, that little freshen up. I think she's here to win each way. Tough race, promise success, class mare, but drawn 1. Might need luck. Sky Command, I don't have a huge opinion of. And then you got Pakara Kara and Jump the Broom, who are not well off at the weights either, at the weight scale of this. Jules?
No opinion whatsoever, mate, so I'll follow you in.
All right, let's move on. It's time for Jackson and Take On Me.
Take Me On this week, we're going to Flemington. It's Australian Guineas Day. The first 2 weeks of the Take Me On I've been wanting to lay. This week I'm going to try and back. We're going to race 2. It's the time-honoured Lexus Melbourne Cup Tour tender handicap over the 2,500 metres. And the horse I want to back is number 5, Timor, Chris Waller, Jamie Carr. He's had 3 runs in Australia, the first of which over the mile at Flemington was very good off 210 days. He was $13 into 950, ran the 3rd fastest last 200 metres of the race, despite being in restricted room for most of that. He then went to Sandown on the hillside, was 21s out to 26s and did nothing. Willing to put the pen through that run because of how good he was last start. Back here at Flemington over the 2,000 metres, he was dragged back from the wide draw off a slow speed and did plenty of running on late. His last 600 was 8.2 lengths better than the punting form all average benchmark, the fastest 400 to 200 metre split of the race and the second fastest last 200. This gives me big a tissue in the matriarch vibes, back off the back from a wide draw off a slow speed and then bang there in the race, up sharply in distance from the low draw. This looks at Chris Waller, just 4th up, ready to win. I thought anything above 350 was a good bet. 380 is the best price out there at the moment with the corpse. I'm going to put up 1,000 at 420 to back. So if anybody wants to lay, obviously get involved there. 420 after commissions, a little under $4. So happy to back there. So yeah, want to back Flemington race 2, number 5 Timor, $1,000 at $4.20.
Been loving Jackson's work. Got the chocolates last week as well, so he's doing some good things. Thanks for that, Jacko. Time for best bets and best lays. Reece, we'll start with you, mate.
Yeah, best bet, Gentleman Roy at headquarters. I just think he's the class horse of the race, should find the top, and he'll be very hard to run down.
Best lay? Do you want to go best lay as well?
Yeah, what have I got? God, this is embarrassing, isn't it?
Sulcombe.
Sulcombe. Yeah, can't have him at all. I just don't think he's come up at all. Excuses first up, but the trial in between, I just couldn't have that either. So you're happy to take him on.
Jules, time to shine.
Possible day, but I'm backing in race 4 Flemington Arctic Ferry down the bottom, drawn wide, D lane goes on. I think it's worth having something.
Matthew Allen's horse?
Yeah, worth having something each way on Arctic Ferry at a big price. And lay, I reckon it's going to be popular. Mar Eustace, Jamie Carr goes on, and it's got the SP, Kettle Hill. I'm going to be top price.
Has it not done anything since the first up run?
No, you just can't get out of its own way, to be honest.
Was it a slashing first up run?
It was an enormous first up run.
2 or 3 at Sydney and done nothing?
The key factor is it does drop heavily in weight, so maybe it's an acceleration horse that needs to do that. So, again, that's why I think it might be popular, but I'm happy to be top price Kettle Hill.
Fair enough.
There you go. My best Roots Randwick race 9, number 2. I think Mathakura's worth a bet at $11 on Betfair, and I'm laying Cythera win and place in Melbourne there. I think she's had her chance. Been a pleasure, boys.
That was fun.
Yeah, it was good to have you back, Tom.
Was it really?
Yeah,
Do we get to keep you, or are you gone again?
Well, no, I'm sticking around.
Okay.
I hope you're happy with that.
Yeah, no, it's good. Good fun.
Sucked in footy.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll be back next week. Thanks for joining me. Join us on Laid Back with Betfair. Gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-858-858.